Let's learn about string methods in Python. These are all string methods. These are quite helpful to the string processing, text processing. Of course, I would say that you should learn you should be familiar with all of these string methods. Uh, because you can't write probably a program without using a string. Okay, let's learn these methods one by one. And as we have learned, we can get the help right in the interpreter using help prompt, and we can straight raise the factory method for a string, and we can get her help right there within the Python interpreter. Let's go and check. These are magic methods in Python that starts with and ends with underscores. And we'll discuss them when we come across functions and methods. But let's go one by one. As you see this capitalized, what it says, return a copy of string. Yes, with only its first character capitalized. Okay, and is it taking any arguments? No. And remember, what are string or strings mutable or immutable? Strings are immutable. So none of these methods modify the string, original string. Always returns a copy of string, modified copy of string, right? Copy of string that is modified according to the functionality of that method. So original string is not modified and original string is intact because strings are immutable. Okay, and let's define the same thing. S equal to hello, welcome to world of Python, which is pretty readable, pretty easy, and just learn and code. Happy Python. Okay, I took this long string so that it works for all methods. Okay, string dot capitalize. Okay, same thing. It doesn't make any difference here. Already we have his caps. Okay, so let's check this. Another one is center. Okay, yeah, center is it is, yeah, check this thing. Which one it takes? It is like it works same way that format specifiers we have seen padding and fill characters. Same stuff it does. Okay, it takes one mandatory arguments, one optional arguments because it in brackets, and returns the string, and returns yes centered in a string of length width. Okay, so it takes the first whole string of length width given with, and then it pads the string, okay, with the fill character. If you don't provide this character, it will be the space. Okay, so for this thing, small string. Okay, let's take a small string Python. Okay, so because that is, we don't see that it is, since it is big string, center. Okay, and then give 64. Okay, see, it is centered with the first reserving all 64 characters. Okay, it is taking first a string of length 64, and then centering this Python. Okay, sr.center, you can give 32, and then pad with what is a fill character, just give underscore. Do you see? Or give star, or give hash. Got it? That is what this documentation said, right? Okay, so, and if you go online, read the documentation, string methods. Okay, the same thing, you most likely find the same documentation. Okay, or sometimes more elaborated version in other sites. Okay, But I recommend you to read the built-in, standard library and standard documentation, because that is a source of information. Even other websites are elaborating that source of information is the official Python docs, docs.python.org. And what is another one? Decode. Okay, so decode is decode, encode. Those strings are used. Let's see, decode takes none mandatory arguments. Both are encoding and errors are optional. Okay, let's read this documentation. Decode a string using the codec registered for encoding. Encoding defaults to the default encoding. Errors may be given to the set of different errors handling scheme. Default is strict, meaning that encoding errors rise. Unicode error, other possible values ignore and replace, as well as any other registered with codec. Okay, so this is so much into other world. But in such a case, elaborated versions out there are helpful. Okay, so but what it does, encoding, decoding, these are like brothers. Okay, encode is using the codec. See, decodes is using the codec registered for encoding. Encodes is using the codec registered for encoding. Okay. So what you understood there? So basically, do you know strings? Pythons in a Python or any other programming language. Do you know that? Okay, not in Python. In general, in computers, don't know even text. Computers know only numbers. Okay. So computers know only numbers. What does it mean? Okay. So it means that there is some x or x, y, z, a, b, c. Okay, computers don't even know a and b and a to z. They don't know, they know just numbers. Even not even numbers. They just know ones and zeros. Okay, so how these strings, different languages are represented. So computers use something called character set. Okay, so character set. So in a character set, character set are comprised of code points where numbers are assigned to each code. Okay, just like go to this website. Here you have ASCII table. See here, if you know, ASCII is also a character set. The first character set. Later we got the codec, Unicode, to represent all languages in the world. So for suppose you see you have a greater than. How this greater than is stored in computer? This is how it is stored. Okay, so but the code point here is a 60. Okay, decimal one. Okay, the how capital A is stored. It is stored like this. Okay, stored, processed, transferred, like this. If you press A in your keyboard, your keyboard sends this data to computer. Okay, so 1 means 5 volts. Okay, and 0 means 0 volts, like that. Okay, in sequential manner, in the serial bus it is transferred. And or we represent, since we can't actually communicate well, we are not good at binary, so we use the decimal equivalent. Okay, the decimal equivalent, this binary number is 65. Okay, the hexadecimal equivalent is 41. Okay, so what happens, what actually stored in computer when you hit A? Okay, 65. In the sense that is decimal equivalent, in the sense actually this is what it is stored. Okay, so this is character set. What is the code point for this? It is 65. Okay, we call it as code point, where in a character set, numbers or codes are assigned to the characters. Okay, we call them as code points. And so how these code points are stored are dictated by our the encoding. Okay, so encoding, how those characters are stored uh, is represented by the encoding. Okay, there are different encodings. Okay, of course we have a Unicode character set, but there are three different encodings for a Unicode: UTF-8, UTF-16, UTF-32. Okay, that represents how those characters are represented in a binary. Okay, so that way, so when you have a raw data, so if you want to encode, okay, so in such a case we can actually, in such a case we can provide that encoding, what encoding it is, né? So let's see, it is better shown with some example. Okay, let's take SR. Okay, SR dot encode. Okay, ASCII. Okay, it is in already ASCII. Okay, UTF-8. Okay, it doesn't make change any difference. UTF-16. Okay, you see, UTF-32. Okay, so it doesn't make any difference, but yeah, no, these are encodings, these are Unicode encodings. Okay, UTF. Okay, uh, let's do some example. Let's print this in let's take into one variable X. Okay, we have X. Okay, and X of what do you have at X of 1? Hmm? Of 2. But SR of 1, what do you have at SR of 1? Yeah, yes. Okay. Mm. And if you want to convert this SR into Unicode, of course you have Unicode function. PFI. Yeah, yeah. So that is, you know, no, I don't get your question. Uh, yeah, yeah. See that string, it is string, like see SR, it is string. You see this as a string, but how internally it is stored may be different. Okay, so encoding is about that. Okay, okay, there is a byte array. Let me take Okay, byte array of SR. Sorry, encoding is, yeah, we can it takes encoding ASCII. Okay, and b equal to b dot. It has different methods. Semester list of b. Can you see this thing? How these are represented for different encodings? Can you see? So encoding is different, but all three different. I used. Don't worry about what's going on here. I'm trying to show you. The string is same. Which is it doesn't matter what encoding it is. Okay, the string is Python only, but how they are internally, on disk, in the memory, how they are represented differs from encoding to encoding. Do you understand? Okay, for UTF-32, this is how that Python is stored. Okay, represented in a binary. Okay, so these are actually those decimal numbers. Do you understand? Okay, so these are called code points. Okay, and each code point is of 8 bits. Sorry, each one is of 8 bits here. Okay, so you have here, again the same thing. Okay, so thing is that UTF-32, so if you go further deep, each character is used for each character uses 32 bits. Okay, to represent, it means that P takes 32 bits to represent, in a UTF-32 encoding. Okay, the same P character uses the 16 bits, 8 or 16 bits in UTF-16 encoding, and in UTF-8 it is backward compatible with the ASCII. It takes 8 bits, at least 8 bits. Okay, when required more. Okay, so see, I used some code here. I used the byte array and converted that and dumped this to show you that. See, here it doesn't matter. You see, you have SR dot encode. You are encoding in a UTF-32. Okay, so encoding that string in UTF-32. Okay, if you print this, okay, probably that is displayed here, but the same string, how it is okay, how it is actually stored is different here internally. Okay, uh let's do UTF-16. Okay, which is Python. Okay, and UTF-8. Okay, and ASCII, both are backward compatible. Do you get it? ASCII and ASCII default encoding is UTF-8. Okay, so no. As no, not UTF is same as ASCII. Default encoding is if you don't pass any argument, takes UTF-8. Okay. So ASCII is different. ASCII we can only represent, till 128 characters. In extended ASCII till 255 only. Okay, but you have hundreds and thousands of characters in a whole wall. You can, if you want to represent different languages, like let's say UTF Unicode, you can represent emojis, right? So in your phone, you are typing emojis and all. Okay, they are also, you see these symbols. Okay, so for suppose I take, if I take this, what is this? U plus 0398. Okay, but we haven't. We'll discuss this thing uh, when we actually come across when we discuss different Unicode. Okay, but here let's go and what is code this 0398 right? Hello, are you there? Yeah, yeah. Hello, I can't hear you. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Can you see that character? Okay, let's uh, let's go and take some smiley. Okay, we are actually going off the track, but I'll explain. We will discuss in deep about encoding. Okay, encoding, decoding. There are what are different character sets and what are different uh, encodings out there. Okay, uh, let's let's take this one. Which one do you like? Okay, take this 1F601. Okay, so in a Python we represent Unicode point like this \u. Okay, so okay. There are different encodings, and default one is UTF-8, and so you can use \u or \U. Okay, so the difference I'll explain again. Uh, so we'll discuss in detail. But what is that one? 1F606. 1F606. Oh, which one? Yeah, 1F601. I can copy this thing. You see this one? Okay. Take this into emoji. It is string. Okay. So what is this? You see type. You can have the function type e. Okay. Mm. Okay. What encoding it is having? Is it what encoding it is having? Okay. So because if it is ASCII, you can represent only in ASCII 128 characters only. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, 0 to 127, which is 128. But here you have all different languages like Sanskrit, Chinese, okay, Korean, Hangul, Telugu, okay, Hindi, all those things. That is how we type text in our mobile phones. Okay, okay, that is how emojis. Okay, so they computers use these to represent this smileys, different characters in different languages. They use these code points. What is a code point for this one? Okay, see, this is the code point. Odd built-in function is there. Okay, that represent the that returns the code pointer of that character. Okay, so I can represent E. I have, if I try to encode this thing into ASCII, what I will get, I'll get an error. Why? Because ASCII codec can't encode character, because ASCII codec is having codec. Codec means coder decoder. Okay, ASCII codec can only encode and decode 128 characters. Okay, so this character, even your space in your the space that you type is also stored like this, 32. Do you understand? Okay, even space, escape character. Okay, even enter. Okay, that is return. Carriage return means enter. You hit the enter, that is also stored as 13. Okay, so but overall it can't encode and decode that code point. You understand? So if I try to say, I used byte array E. Okay, so this converts. We have to provide encoding. Okay, UTF-8. Okay, so which is F0 9F 98. Okay, 81. Okay, so this is UTF-16. If I give same character, it is same, which is a same character, but it is encoded as a different set of bytes. Can you see this? 32. Okay, so let's take this thing UTF-32. We have a string e dot encode of UTF UTF-16 is like this one. You can use decode. Decode uses the yeah, which is opposite of encoding. Okay, see, UTF-8 codec can't decode byte. See why? Because like I have explained prior, the default codec is UTF-8 that these functions use. It is trying to decode, since I encoded that string with the UTF-16. It's trying to decode with UTF-8, so that it doesn't work because it doesn't know how to process those extra bytes. So if I decode with the same thing, you see, you got the string. Okay, you understand? These are twin brothers. One is opposite of other one. Do you get it? See, see, I can represent some text UTF-8. Okay, see, let's take some text here. B stands for bytes. Okay, byte string. X0. Okay, X9F. Okay, and then X98, X81. Okay, and if I type decode, yeah, UTF-8. If I give UTF-16, you get okay, okay, but that sometimes if you use the wrong encoding, you may tend to actually interpret those characters as different characters. Do you understand? Okay, and of course here I use the instead of f, I use 6. Okay, let's do that one. F, right? 98 x1. Okay, x dot decode UTF-8. You got it. 16. Okay. Uh, see, I have the same. This is the problem with encoding and decoding. Okay. Sometimes you may, if you change, remember this. If you change, don't try this one. Okay. If you open the notepad, you will corrupt your text file. If you open the notepad, bottom right corner, you will see encoding UTF-8. Okay. So if you change that to UTF-16, it works fine. From UTF-16 to UTF-8, if you change, your file will be corrupted. Okay. Because UTF-16 takes more bytes, and sometimes if you change back and if you force to read that file as a UTF-8 encoding, even though it has UTF-16, you will read that as either that file can't be processed, corrupted, or you can't read that, or you will read that wrong. The system will read those bytes wrong. Okay. Hmm? But you see, this is the thing. We have these bytes, and got it. Okay, these two are encoding and decoding are opposite. Okay, contrast, twin brother. What? Yeah, but we don't use, but these are quite useful when you are working with the string text processing. Okay, text processing. But we can go deep into this encoding. For these functions, you need to understand, since you need to understand those mechanics of, character set encoding, decoding. That is reason. But these methods, for you to understand these methods, those are required, so that we discuss. But later, we'll discuss about those encoding, decodings, and character sets in detail. Okay, there are a lot of character sets. You can represent U, F. Mm, No, that way you can have fun. Okay, check what is. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Huh. Okay. Now let's move. What other methods we have? Ends with. Okay, as it is shown here. Ends with, you have a suffix start end. Okay, here it is taking only one required argument and two uh, optional arguments. Since you come across this kind of start and stop by looking at these arguments itself, you can tell it is a slice. First, if you give start and end, it will check that within that substring only. Okay, so what it tells, this name itself is self-explanatory. Ends with checks whether the string is by looking at the bool. Okay, which means boolean. You understand? So we can interpret this as this ends with method returns whether the string ends with the given suffix or not. Okay, that is what this whole thing is explained here. Okay, now go and check this one. Okay, you have a s and check s dot ends with, okay, hello. Now false. Does it ends with Python? False. It's a caps Python. Even it is false now, right? Because there's a bang. True. Okay. But let's check a small Python. Okay, and I want to check from 0 to 25. Okay, before 0 to 24. What is it? Okay. Okay, let's check the 23 and check whether it ends with the walled or not. Okay. False. Okay, if you give 23, it is true. It's like that, you know. First, it is taking the slice this till this one and checking this word. Okay, and there are expand tabs, find, okay, format. We'll see these methods. We'll continue about these methods next session.